Hi, I'm Nancy Shanto, and I'm here to read from Access to Power, a radical approach for changing your life. I'm going to read from the Pig Parent chapter this week. This is something that I wrote. And this is called How the Pig Works, Decoding Pig Messages. And it's going to be a little long because I'm going to go through all of the pig messages and describe them. And I just want you to remember that why we're naming all of this is to help label. And inside of labeling something, we start to get some distance from it. So while we're naming these qualities and parts of ourselves that are telling us negative messages, and oftentimes the messages are relatively innocuous on the surface, and only we determine the negativity of them by doing some analysis. The process of observing is happening from the adult. So we're cultivating our wise adult as we label something. So I'll get started and then we can talk a little bit more about it. We find the 7 categories of pig messages hidden in our behavior and thoughts. They support invisible norms that keep us stuck and prevent change. Thus the people with the power keep the power and the people on the bottom stay on the bottom. Deserve to die. This is the most destructive and pervasively potent of the pig messages. It is an umbrella pig message, and often each of the other messages contain deserve to die elements and refer back to this pig message. Variations on deserve to die messages include these: you're not good enough, you're not lovable, you don't belong, you suck, and it doesn't matter what you do. Deserve to die messages prevent us from pursuing our dreams, taking leadership positions, and asking for what we want in relationships and in our lives. This pig message also encourages us to look for a silver bullet solution to make us feel good enough or that we belong. The deserve to die pig message goes hand in hand with expressions of resignation, a feeling of heaviness or apathy in the body, and a lack of will to take actions that will change the situation. When we have the worst expression of deserve to die pig, we suffer suicidal thoughts or even attempt to kill ourselves. Even if we never actually want to die, the deserve to die pig message subtly or overtly suggests that we have failed to earn our place on the planet and are wasting precious space and resources. Taunted by our deserve to die pig, we seek approval from others, and yet no amount of external praise ever seems to fill the empty void of belonging. Weak, sick, ill. This pig message tends to strike people who have physical ailments or disabilities or feel physically different, faulty, or inadequate. If we're weak, we'll be culled from the herd, rejected, isolated, and left alone to fend for ourselves or die. We'll be dependent on others for support and sustenance and require attention that we don't deserve. We believe we're physically broken. This message is deeply linked to a sense of low personal value, deserve to die, and also the productivity injunction associated with lazy pig. For often when we are weak, sick, or ill, we are also unable to work or provide for ourselves, and may even be dependent on someone else for our well-being. In cases of chronic disease or bodily difference, our weak, sick, ill pig might encourage us to believe we are basically flawed. Often when weak, sick, ill pig strikes, a flood of other pig messages follow, since many of us keep pig at bay with great effort and hard work. Stupid. Poor school performance in our cultural model reinforces stupid pig. Students receive grades that inform them whether their intellectual test and project performance is above, meeting, or below standards. Even though schools don't automatically detect and reward genius levels of intelligence, we tend to label ourselves as intelligent or not based on our school performance. The intelligent are successful and powerful. The stupid are failing, slow, behind everyone else. As a result of this narrow definition of intelligence, we ignore other types of intelligence, including musical, emotional, street, spatial, aesthetic, and physical. Stupid pig is often accompanied with a cloud of confusion, which is also linked to crazy pig. Stupid pig narrowly defines intelligence and keeps people from seeing their unique mental, perceptive, and creative gifts. Crazy. Explicitly about people's mental stability, we struggle with crazy pig if we identify or have been diagnosed as cognitively different. Differences can include mental processing like dyslexia and attention deficit disorder, as well as diagnoses such as paranoid schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. The codes of the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, DSM, are used to categorize and label people's ability to function normally in social settings. While the clinical definitions of mental illness may assist practitioners in designing appropriate treatment for patients, the labels also shape social opinion as well as people's self-conceptions. One of the missions of the Radical Psychiatry Collective was to address the power inequity between therapists and clients and to debunk the idea that diagnoses were the primary reason people exhibit antisocial behavior. In fact, members of the collective observed that when people's real scarcity, money, work, food, housing, was addressed, often their diagnosable behaviors minimized or disappeared altogether. In addition to its relationship with sanity, Crazy Pig is also about other types of mental difference, whether in someone's thoughts, actions, or decision-making style. Logical decision-making is valued in our culture, while emotional or intuitive decision-making may provoke other people's judgment. People in one-down positions will often be labeled crazy because their experience is so vastly different from the experience of people who are one-up, and thus have the power to define normal. Lazy. Primarily associated with the Protestant work ethic and the pursuit of the American dream in U.S. culture, Lazy Pig tends to come up when we are not as motivated as we think we should be, in our desire for money or ambition to climb the success and promotion ladder. Lazy Pig can be so strong that in the American middle class, we may internally attack ourselves even when we are outwardly busy and productive. Lazy Pig may also encourage our intolerance and judgment for our exhaustion. Thus, when we take naps or spend time in bed to recover lost sleep and energy, we might trigger a Lazy Pig attack. Ugly. The narrow beauty standard in our culture results in people having eating disorders and taking on extreme diets, use of expensive beauty products, plastic surgery, and obsessive exercise. While the pressure to be beautiful is commonly discussed and suffered among women in our culture, short, fat, or slender men often also experience oppressive judgments, painful jokes, and reduced access to opportunities, relationships, and social success. Beautiful people are more likely to have job opportunities, friends, and access to resources available through relationships. Because Ugly Pig results in competitive behavior among people struggling for limited resources, even people who are considered beautiful by many may still consider themselves ugly, focus on their flaws rather than their beauty, and feel bad about themselves and their bodies. Bad. Good and bad are moral judgments based on cultural injunctions of acceptable and unacceptable behavior, and in Christianity, bad is akin to sinful. Most people relate to Bad Pig not as a direct label but through its relatives. Be a good girl. Don't be a naughty boy or you'll get coal in your stocking. She's so selfish. He's irresponsible. The pig message can additionally include behaviors that are criminal, addictive, or antisocial. The injunction to be good, obey, and play by the rules stifles creativity and free expression. Many cultural messages encourage us to take care of everyone else first, and we may be so far down our own lists that we rarely attend to our own needs. When we self-sacrifice, we often experience greater distance from and mystification around what we really want. Some people may have a counterphobic response to the good-bad messages that induces a rebellious acting out. Either way, Bad Pig cultural messages are a strong reinforcement method for the social norms and values that protect the hierarchy and status quo. Bad Pig keeps people from generating alternatives to standard cultural practices. Yikes! All this pig talk is heavy. Stand up, shake it off, dance around a little, and we'll move into discussion of how we can begin to fight these messages internally, externally in relationship, and collectively in the larger social and cultural frameworks in which we live. So here we are talking about the labels of the pig messages. And what I found in analyzing pig is that the labels are often a way for us to point ourselves to the way that we most are trying to fix our lives, to trying to have a handle on our powerlessness. So the pig that's going to get the most traction with us is the pig that is most reflective of our greatest strengths. So for me, and my life, the Lazy Pig was the one that really got me, because I just thought if I would work a little bit harder, I might be able to fix things. If I worked a little bit harder, I would have the relationships I wanted. If I worked a little bit harder, I would have the success I was looking for. If I just would work a little bit harder, I could solve the problem. And oftentimes my hard work, as lovely as it was for me to work really hard, would produce disconnection rather than connection. So oftentimes I was using this strength and then making things worse. And when I stopped, when I actually acknowledged my Lazy Pig, when I understood how I was being driven to try and fix things, and that I was often dealing with something where I needed to accept some powerlessness, there would be a change. And the change would be that there would be something that I could do that I hadn't been focusing on because I was so focused on trying to fix things. And when I did that, what I could do, and let off of the pressure of what I couldn't, everybody would relax, A. And B, The thing that I could do well. I could do whatever that was. If it was just being compassionate to myself and others, I could do that well. And sometimes things would change because of this lack of pressure in the one direction and an appropriate response in another. So when you analyze and label your pig, and I encourage you to do this to try and figure out what those heavy thoughts are, start to get a sense of what your strengths are and how you're trying to use your strengths to gain power over situations in which you might be needing to accept your powerlessness. Okay, I hope that helps.